And welcome everyone. It's Peter the Toit, your host, and it's SoccerBeat. And once again, Muhsin Ertugral. And today we're going to be looking at the Chiefs Sundowns game. And Muhsin will give us his personal views after having a good think about it. But let me put context first, Muhsin. If you look at it, Mamalodi Sundowns are the benchmark for South African football. But in the last 10 years, even more, they have been the best team in the country and one of the best teams in Africa. They've basically been impossible to beat. Last season, they lost one game. So Chiefs, on the other hand, have struggled against Sundowns over the last 10 years. And last season was a disastrous season. New coach comes in, and it looks like a new team. What do you think?
It really looks completely different. I must say, I have first, from a Sundowns viewpoint, I have Sundowns not seen, I would say, last 2 years, not under pressure like that, like yesterday.
Yeah.
This is something that for a totally new technical team, that when you see last season, that was actually, I think, 5-1, if I'm not mistaken, the result.
Yes.
But last game that they played each other. So they completely outplayed them, and all these Sundowns, as you say, is a complete benchmark. But yesterday, I found is not the one who have the ball the most, is the one who makes out of the aspects the most. And I think that was yesterday completely on Chiefs side. So I was completely surprised, and in the beginning, and I said it yesterday also to the management, my view, when I saw the five back line, and these five back line normally have two situations in the game, Peter. One is very high line. That means you could get caught on the second and third ball. The second part is that generally a five defensive line drops back. So when the opponent knows exactly how to pin you, and the German national team or City does it very well, or I think sometimes now at the moment Olympic Lille did it very well. They put three players into the five line in the windows and push you backwards. Bin the high line up in the windows, and they will push you every time backwards. So that in the build-up process.
Can I interrupt you? This is what you said before the game, that Sundowns could pin Chiefs. So my question before you go further, don't you think Sundowns missed an opportunity there?
I think that was, I said, it took them, I watched that, and they were totally completely surprised about the approach of that they came up with such a high defensive line. And I think in the beginning was, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6 times offside. So that creates also a little bit of pressure on player and the dynamics in the game format. So then the game went a little bit more slow, and they didn't want to make it into that line. I could see that. But generally, if you're a clever team, you will push them backwards, and obviously the defensive line will go backwards. What I wanted to mention that is that I don't like to play with this 3 and then you become 5, and then you get more and more to your box line, and then around the box in the first zone you get stuck, and then there's a team there that pressurize you. Then the first ball and the second ball becomes very, very highly important for you, because normally you win the ball back and you want to bring the ball into the game. It pushes on the ball back to the wall, and you're permanently in the defensive line. So you permanently don't get out. So that could happen yesterday, and that creates, for a team that is not experienced, always a big problem. But what they have mentioned, what I want to mention, is that in a short time like that, to play 5 line up and in a synergy like that, I was really impressed. I must say that in a short while to have this format been playing, I don't think so. They thought it's been risky, because they believed in that they could do that. Ribeiro gave them a little bit problems on that side, because he was hanging between the line in the half space there, and he was trying to push. And I saw after 20 minutes, Steve Kopela stood up and tried to explain them the pin. I'm sure that it was what the pinning, to push them for a little bit more backwards, to have a little bit that space. So my credit goes definitely to Nabi. I must say that I was very impressed. And then also the very quick counterattacks that we have spoken about. You know, the very quick transition. They have the second and the third ball transition formats, which is very, very difficult actually to handle. When Sundowns, I could see, they had only in the security approach. So when Sundowns loses the ball, 2+1 only left. So 3 players only left practically. So it was always for them, and the goal happened like that very quickly for Chiefs from the counter attack. And the security organization for me was not good enough.
From Sundowns' point of view.
Sundowns, yeah.
Yeah. Let's just
So
go back.
I think they were. I think they were not. They were very surprised on that
Yes.
from the approach of. Yeah.
So let's just go back to Chiefs. If you think about it, Muhsin, Nabi has not obviously had a lot of time with the team, but the difference in this Kaizer Chiefs team in the short period that Nabi's been there is night and day. How? I mean, you're an experienced coach. You've been in his position at other clubs and at Kaizer Chiefs. How difficult is it for a coach to transform a team from basic? Well, they didn't get even in the top 8. They were a team that South African PSL teams were not afraid to play against. Chiefs fans were they were disappointed. They had nothing to look forward to. Nabi comes, and let's just be real here. The left back came from Golden Arrows. The goalkeeper came from Galaxy. The one centre back came from Cape Town Spurs relegated team. The other centre back came from an Angolan team. He didn't play a single game, I think, last season. Sereno was a kind of let go by Sundowns. I think I've gone through all the players there. So it's not like they spend big money on big stars. Yet he's molded a team from being an absolute team that no one was afraid of to a team now that can go toe to toe with by far the biggest club in the country. I mean, how difficult is that to do? How does he manage to do it in such a short space of time? Do you know the guy?
No, I don't know him personally, obviously, but when you look to his handwriting on the team, you must say that. I must say that you have in the week around 12 to 14 hours. Even in the preseason, you might have 16 hours when you do more double sessions. So it's also very difficult to periodize a team in South African football because in the end, the management of SAFA of the PSL have given the fixture out very, very late into the season because they were already in Turkey in the preseason. So what are you doing actually then in the preseason when still 2 months is to go? So the periodizing also now is 1 month again, not only the window, it's 1 month to it. So it is always a up and down. And so you need to periodize a team. This is which is the most difficult part for coaches from scientific background. I must say that the way how I see the team first, the last game in attacking formats, what they did in a very quick offensive transition format, very, very paceful and very actually pinpointed. So there are certain patterns that I have trained. Second and the third balls are very much important, obviously. And it looks very impressive for me. I must say that. And how difficult is that for you? It is very difficult because the time's a factor. So the most difficult for me is always, and I've spoken that many times, between the preseason and the step over into the competition period. That's where you actually, it's for me always for the players and for the coaches, because you don't know where you're standing actually. And to have last week a different formation and this week another different formation with a defensive line that is very, very high up and organized, it was for me impressive, I must say that. And it is not that easy. So that means there's a lot of work behind the scenes that you can have this synergy on the field.
Fantastic. Let's have a quick ad break, Muhsin. We'll come back with some more tactical know-how on the game. Be back soon, guys.
Betway is giving customers a chance to win big with their 4 to score free weekly prediction. Simply predict the first teams to score in 4 Betway Premiership matches, and you could win 50,000 Rand. Scan the QR code on screen now to enter. Get way more with Betway. Standard T's and C's apply.
And welcome back. And it's Muhsin Ertugral, and we're talking Kaizer Chiefs versus Mamalodi Sundowns. Guys, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms and to like and to subscribe and share. And please comment. I will read all your comments and pass your comments on to Muhsin once I've read them. Muhsin, so going back, so Nabi has been impressive in what he's done to the team in this preseason and a few games, and he's turned them into a team that. Do you think? I think this team can definitely finish in the top 4. I mean, you've got Sundowns will be there, Pirates will be there, and then you're looking at Stellenbosch, who've been exceptionally good. I think they've got a very good coach and a good setup. And then you're talking kind of Cape Town City, super sport. But I think this Kaizer Chiefs team can be a top 3, top 4, which would be a massive jump. Or do you think they could even challenge for the title?
Title would be too early. I think there are some key players in the team, very important key players that in the long term you have cup games to play, and as a long term this is up and downs. I would love to be rather I play in the week 3 games, so Sunday, Wednesday, Sundays, and stay in the competition format. I have always these breaks. I was never a friend of that. So also from periodizing your team, it's very very difficult. So. I think the team has at the moment probably the need in January window certain players to get into the team to stabilize the team a little bit more. The youngsters are what I like on the team is the confidence what they have, the eagerness what they find in a short while. Because last season you could see the body language was well. So yesterday also the physical aspects of the game. Last week actually. We had a goal on the team that they dropped against Amazulu. So there is a psychological aspects in the game that from outside you can say whatever you want to say. I love those PlayStation guys who always have something to say about. But in the end, the dynamism there on the field is completely different. So sometimes it's just a snap, and the game that you're going to win, suddenly you're going to lose the game or you're going to draw the game. This is always the game dynamics that is happening, and I think. If they can look into the market, maybe in January window, have 1 or 2 standing players. It's always difficult in this time. But then I would say not for the title, but definitely for top 3. This is a team that can play in the top 3, and then obviously, hopefully, challenge for a cup. Which yesterday I was impressed of. They were far better technically, tactically, and physically, which I was very very surprised. Physically, they were very strong, and. It gives me something to hold on, even on myself. And I said to the management, "It's the 5 in the beginning. Was the 5?" I said that could be really a problem, but it wasn't. So it was a problem for Sundowns, and this gives you something to hold on that this Chiefs is actually a good team.
Tell me, Muhsin, when you say you were surprised by the tactics, the technical, and the fitness, were you talking of Chiefs or of Chiefs being better than Sundowns at that?
Yeah, no, by far better. I mean, they had Chiefs. They had a target. They had let me say a script, tactical aspects in the game. There were a couple of things. So sometimes they dropped into 4, sometimes went into 5, but it is maybe not intentional. This is the dynamics of the game where you put the left wing a little bit more forward to play against their best side. Right side of Sundowns, obviously very, very good. And then I think, for my opinion, we can discuss that. This is an opinion factor now. They took Rivero out, which for me was the man of the match. When they asked me, "What do you think? Who's the man of the match?" I would say definitely number 10 of Sundowns. What he does is that you cannot actually see on the TV, because you only see sometimes in the TV 7, 8 players. You don't see the full field. And his positioning himself is marvelous. And obviously, he gives a lot of problems, especially on Kaizer Chiefs' left side. So that whole half space there, he used it marvelously. And obviously, when they took him off, actually, then a better aspect for Chiefs to come into the game, much even better, more stabilized more.
He was very clever. I don't know if the coach told him, but he's very clever because Cross was almost on his left side of Kaizer Chiefs wasn't well organized defensively from a Serena point of view, or whoever played wide left. Even Dube was there. He did very well in the first 20, 30 minutes, Dube, but he ran a bit out of steam. And I felt at times Cross was exposed, and Ribeiro was very clever going into the half space there. And I agree with you. I was surprised when they took him, because that's where a lot of the danger was coming from Sundowns. Just a question. You've been in this situation. You've arrived. You came to South Africa, and you're a man alone. You basically came and you sat on the bench, and your technical team got given to you by Kaizer Chiefs. In this particular instance, he first brought out his entire technical team, and then one left, and now I think he's got Arthur Zwane on the bench, who you had as a player for a long time. Having his own technical team there, do you think that's made a big difference? Would you have helped if you brought out your own technical team? Would it have been easier for you, or is it different circumstances?
Yeah, this was definitely very difficult at that time. So for me, coming into the country, being in a Toit team with not knowing anything from South African football, because the they had time to look into South African football. We didn't have on that the possibility, even from the media perspective, not. So it was a bit different. You need definitely people around you that understands also the cultural background that. I always wanted to have one or two South African around me. So obviously I brought Rainer Dinkelak, I brought Elsa Storm. So then I had Steve Compella, which was also Turkey, understood me. So that was not understand my culture. Obviously his own culture. So it was actually for me a coach, two different coaches would understand. So that was very, very easier for me to. From a scientific background, obviously, Mr. Mutanga, our president, has allowed me to bring in the woman into the football. And for me, it was very important to have Elsa Storm there on the periodizing the team and scientific background. So today, obviously, I have still my reservation, is that because South Africa is a bit different to other countries, so I will still have one guy. I'm sure that they have behind the scenes.
Well, they've got Arthur there now.
Yeah, so that can get help the team a little bit on the cultural background. So for me, it was always we have also a lot of diversity in South Africa. So obviously Zulu, up north, up south, all different cultures here in the team, and so that is also they have own beliefs, which obviously professional football stays above it, but the beliefs are also very much important. So I think at the moment looks for me, I was very impressed, and I told it yesterday, and I must say also thank you for the management. They have treated me like really was very very welcoming yesterday, and it impressed me. Yeah, thank you. And before the game,
trophies for you're up there with the people who won the most trophies for Kaizer Chiefs. As Baxter's won leagues, Dimitri's won leagues, but you won across the board. That Fatala season was
and the international one. Yeah, no, obviously, I could see the players yesterday after the game and before the game. Those ones were. So I must say that it was very welcoming, and this shows the big culture of the club. I mean, we know that from Bayern Munich, we know that from Ajax, so I know that from Galatasaray. When I want to come to watch a team from Galatasaray, you have always your chair, you have always your box with the kind of respect you deserve. We deserve, hopefully, in their eyes. So it was for me that's nice welcoming back to the club. I'm very, very pleased and happy about it.
Fantastic. We're going to take another quick short break from our sponsors. Then we're going to come back and talk about Mamelodi Sundowns. See you guys. Don't go away.
You see, it was this game that turned boys into giants. Even today's aces inherited the name from those who came before. Usabuthalomili, Buzawabaziyo, Bazokela, Lisegazini, forever.
And Muhsin, we're back. And just a final thing on Chiefs. Did you have a chat to Nabi at all?
I was very surprised because they took me down into the tunnel and I was waiting, and the coach came out after the warming up, and we saw each other quickly, and because some coaches don't like to have that very close, the former coach comes in and it was very open. That shows you what kind of person he is. He stays above it, and he's now the coach of Kaizer Chiefs, and there is the former coaches. He respected that. We greet each other and hugged each other. So I wished him bad luck before the game. This is something special, I must say it.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. We must get him on the show. Muhsin, let's talk about Mamelodi Sundowns. So first of all, obviously, we know what a good side they are. They've had so-called coach change, but obviously Steve and Mongaba has been there for a while, so it's not a coaching change per se. They're established. They know the club inside out. Have you seen there is a difference in the way they're playing, though, this season to last season, and the difference is maybe not the right word. He himself says he's adjusted the way they perform. The basis of why they're playing is still there. He gets the ball wider now, he says, and he gets the ball forward quicker than they used to. At the end of the day, the fans just want to see the team winning. They don't really worry where the ball's going slower or quicker. Last season, funny enough, I did think they played too slowly, and the season before, funny enough. It was almost like when Dimitri was there, but that's just a personal opinion. You can't argue with what the results. Have you seen a difference in their play?
Yeah, definitely the wing play. The side more the first balls, second balls goes intentionally first to the side. And side balls makes also opponents generally jump over the lines and step over and try to solve the problem. But that creates always a bit. They can use it as press traps. We call that press traps, so that the other team, when they build up slower, so the opponent wants to come onto the ball, especially when you have young players. They're not staying. This is why I said the last time. I fear that Chiefs can step over out of the collectiveness and try to solve the problems individually. That the press traps from the side, and I was very impressed especially over the right side, over what they did over their right wing completely, and that this combination was actually very good. But I must also say that Rivaldo, one of my loved players in South Africa, I had him very young with Ajax, and I saw him always on six. I used him on the time. We used him. He got injured on the time, and we used him as a six, and I was very very happy with his performance. I would also say one of player of the game yesterday. One of them I would choose, and his build-up processes. He doesn't lose the ball. He gets in between the centre backs. These first balls, I would, for instance, disturb as Chiefs. If I would be on the Chiefs side, I would put somebody on him and let them go for early wide, and not get him over him. So they make him tick. They make him play. Then he makes the team play. So that would have been for me maybe the challenge to put somebody on him early.
Yeah.
But obviously they're definitely playing the ball first to the sides. That's clearly what the coach said.
The other way would have also been to maybe get the ball to Shabalala more central, just in front of, and make could see actually starting to do defensive work as opposed to. But I mean, look, it's very easy sitting here after the game and saying what could have, should have.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Kutsi is a superb player, and he's had his injuries, and it's good to see him back in the side, and I think they're using him in exactly the right position. It doesn't argue well for someone like Mokoena, because I don't know if you could play Mokoena in that, he's been out the squad, if him and Kutsi, but I suppose they're good players, and good players find a way to play together. Muhsin, what did you think of the youngster? They signed him last season, Matthews. He sort of had a hand in both the goals. What do you think of him? He was in Sweden, he's come back to South Africa.
Tassi was with me when he was 17, also as well, and obviously could not. There was a niggling issue with the management, and they wanted to bring him to Borussia Dortmund on the time, and we wanted to use him. For me, one of the great talents that South African football have produced. Unfortunately, these years is always lost. I always say players don't grow in discussions and contract problems and they grow on the field. And when you have such a superb talent, you need to put him on the field. So he lost these 2 years, and then he went to Borussia Dortmund, if I'm not mistaken, and didn't happen for him there because the game there is a different level. And then I think he went on to the North countries. And for me, one of the players that is a player what I just mentioned last time. You need to bring the collectiveness with the individual in the synergy. And that's a player that is in the collective formats, but he has also his, in the script, he has his individual formats that gives the team his percentage. And obviously Mudau is for me the question mark, what happened. So this player for me is a great player. And then also Ribeiro, the combination, sometimes I feel Sundowns has such a good squad on players. You have a big forest, but you don't see the tree anymore, the individual tree. so I feel it like that sometimes. Yeah, there are really some good players, but you also need to find this rotation format. Sometimes, obviously, this is very difficult because you have number 18, number 20, and further on you have players there waiting to play. And so how you keep them and these rotation formats, you get out of the momentum, which sometimes is very very difficult for me. For me, as I would always use a smaller squad that you stay in the intensity,
As a former player, Muhsin, I would never want to be rotated. I would fight against it. I would argue against it. I played with injuries rather than not. Never, ever would I.
Absolutely. We always like that.
I'd go find a club, play rotation. I'd say I'm playing every week. But anyway, by the way, talking about Mudau, I think, he's a little older now, but he could have played in any league in the world. I'm not saying he would have played in the top teams, but I think he could have played in. He's a specimen of an athlete, up and down, super quick, strong, gets up and down, a fantastic player. And I really feel for him. He should have been. I mean, he's obviously playing a top team at Sundowns, but I think he really could have been a player overseas. But anyway, tell me,
he gives a huge percentage in the game. You know, you have your dynamism, the way of you want to see the team playing. But there are moments that a player gives you 15-20% more than another player on that position, what he plays on your aspect. So these are elements that you need to look into a little bit more. And I see Mutau is like that. And even Zwane is, for me, always a niggling player that gives you a problem in the tactical aspects of the game. You know, the moments when things are, you can play him anytime the ball. So good teams understands when to make the game quick and when to slow the game down. These are good players.
Yeah, and Zwan is an expert at that. On a final note, you mentioned obviously Rivaldo and Ribeiro as your men of the match from Sundowns. Who did you feel was Chiefs' best player or best players?
I wouldn't say best player. I looked. This is why maybe the coach has done. It's very difficult to pick up one. But I think the foreigner at the back, the number 34, he's not very much visible in the game. We always want to see players that want to have a brilliance on the ball, but there are also, let me say this, unsung heroes. He's very, very dangerous when it comes to standard situations. He's a good organizer at the back. He speaks to everyone at the back, and I watched him without the ball, and he keeps the line high up. So when the ball is on the other side, somewhere in the last third, he organizes the defensive line. He's always busy to talking, and I think very valuable player.
And he's quick.
Yeah, for his tallness. Yeah, and I think he's brave as well. You know what I also like, that sometimes he will be, by the referees, maybe cautioned very quickly, or maybe red cards can come in his direction. He's very, very eager, and he's a personality. And you want, as a coach, I would love to have a personality there at the back. Yeah. That's the kind of player he is.
I think he's made a massive difference. Tell me, last two questions. I know I said there was the last question. Penalty? Was it first one, the offside. Was it offside?
I wouldn't say. I was just I was brought down to the tunnel, so I watched that later, and I couldn't see from my angle anymore. It was also raining, so we standing in the tunnel. What I've been told is that it was a foul. The play, when the ball came into the middle, you see that.
Yeah, it was a foul. Yes. No, I was
they say it was not. It was not offside. No, the first one. You mean the first one?
The first one, yes.
No. It was not offside. I don't know. For my opinion, not. I mean, obviously, from my angle, it's always very difficult to see. Today, you need you even have VAR, and you're discussing that in VAR. So, from my opinion, not. But the second one, which it was definitely, has nothing to do with offside, for my opinion. It has to do more with the foul that you can see the player that maybe will head the ball. He was falling down. So obviously, what I see, you could never see.
For me, I can tell you one thing, Muhsin. I hate to talk about the old days, but there wouldn't have been a foul in the old days.
No, the player would still stay. Sometimes, you just, I feel a little bit wind comes and the player's down on the ground. Yeah. But obviously, and I asked somebody, the photographer, a guy who is next to the goal line there, and saw that. He says to me, clearly he pushed him.
Oh, is that so? Okay. Yeah. Well, the game's all about pushing. If you look at corners, people are grabbing, holding, and pushing. So, pushing. I know it's supposed to be.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I mean, always have a little bit really that problems when you see the rugby players. What is happening there? And then when I see these boys, jumping all over the show, and Hollywood actors, it's been a problem for me. I stand on the legs and try to play football now.
Correct.
You see that in England. This is why we always love English football.
Of course. But Muhsin, I think the game was a good advert for South African football, and we're glad to have you back here in South Africa, and hopefully we'll have you back in the game here in South Africa.
Let's see what the days will bring us.
Anything on the cards? Anything on the cards?
Not from South Africa. Not from South Africa. I have not spoken to anyone. I just arrived, so we'll see. But I need a bit of a break. The Euro and the last. This was very high intense, and sometimes this observation and doing the right things to transform it, that people understands, and the situation has been understanding what you talk about. That's very, very difficult. When we only speak with technicalities, then we can throw the words around. But analyzing and giving them what you do and how you do that now with youth section, how you transform the tendencies in international football now to daily work. These are elements that we need to find the right wording and the right word for it.
So Muhsin, I know I'm biased. I'm a friend of yours, but this is not biased talking. I think you should be up there with be a technical director of. If I was a PSL club owner, you'd be a technical director, or I'd have you involved with SAFA as a technical director. I would like to see you transform our youth. But anyway, Muhsin, we'll keep talking and we'll chat to you again. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.